Good morning everyone. This is lecture number 53 of Engineering Thermodynamics. Today we'll see requirements of good boiler and high pressure boilers. A requirement of good boiler. What are the requirements when we go for purchasing the boiler? What should be the criteria fulfilled by the boiler? First, the boiler should be capable to generate steam at the required pressure and quantity as quickly as possible with a minimum fuel consumption. Means boiler should be able to produce steam according to the requirement at desired pressure and temperature. The initial cost, installation cost and the maintenance cost should be low as possible. It should not be so expensive. The boiler should be light in weight and should occupy small floor area. The boiler should be light in weight so that transportation can be possible easily, and it should occupy less floor area. The boiler must be able to meet the fluctuation demand without pressure fluctuation. Suppose the requirement of the steam increases, the boiler should be able to generate more steam without fluctuation in the pressure. It should produce the steam at a required pressure. All the part of boiler should be easily approachable for cleaning and inspection. All part of boiler like uh, tubes of the boiler, then furnace, then various mountings and accessories of the boiler should be accessible for cleaning and inspection. The boiler should have minimum joints to avoid leaks which may occur due to expansion and contraction. The boiler pipes or the assembly or mountings should have minimum joints so that leakage can be minimized. The boiler should be erected at site within a reasonable time and with a minimum labor. The boiler is, it should not be like that uh, boiler is assembled in the factory or industry and it is directly taken to the plant. It should be erected, it should be assembled in a site itself. The water and flue gas velocities should be high for high heat transfer rate with a minimum pressure drop through the system. Means while passing through the system, the pressure drop when the steam or flue gas were flowing through the pipes, the pressure drop should be minimum. There should be no deposition of mud and foreign material on the inside surface and soot deposition on the outer surface of the heat transfer part. When water is supplied to the boiler, water contains some impurities. When water is converted into steam, that impurities is settled down in the tube in the boiler itself. Therefore, that impurities or mud can be removed easily. The boiler should conform to safety regulation as laid down by the Boiler Act. Means boiler should conform to the safety regulation, means it should obey all Boiler Act. The thermal stresses in the boiler parts are less as a different part of the boiler remains at a constant temperature due to quick circulation of water. Since the water circulation is very high, the rate of circulation of water is very high, the thermal stresses produced should be very low. The boiler can be easily transported and elected at a different part can be separated. The boiler can be easily transported, means the weight of boiler should be low as it can be transported easily, and erected as its different part can be separated. Means while transportation its uh, different parts are separated and it can be erected on the site, means assembly of the boiler it could be possible. Damage due to bursting of water tube is a less serious. Therefore, water tube boiler are sometimes called safety boiler. In case of water tube boiler, the bursting or burning problem is very less. Therefore, water tube boilers are called as a safety boilers. The bursting and burning problem are more in case of fire tube boiler. All part of the water tube boiler are easily accessible for cleaning, inspection and repairing. The water tube boiler furnace area can be easily altered to meet the fuel requirement. We can change the furnace area so that more combustion can take place for more steam requirement, more steam production. Now high pressure boiler. We have seen fire tube boiler and water tube boiler. In fire tube boiler, most of all the fire tube boilers are low pressure boiler, and we have seen one Babcock Wilcox boiler which is low pressure water tube boiler. Now all high pressure boilers are water tube boiler. Now we'll see one by one. In all modern power plant, high pressure boiler are universally used as they offer the following advantages. Now, which boiler is called as high pressure boiler? If the boiler produces steam at a pressure of 100 or more than that, 100 bar or more than that. In order to obtain efficient operation and high capacity, forced circulation of water through the boiler tube is found helpful. Forced circulation of water means pump is used for the circulation of water. Some special type of boiler operating at supercritical pressure and using forced circulation are described in this chapter. Now what is meant by supercritical? The power plant which works on the pressure above critical pressure. Now what is critical pressure? Critical pressure is 221.2 bar. Is the critical pressure. If the pressure in the boiler is more than that pressure, then that boiler is called as a supercritical boiler. In that case, water is directly converted into steam without boiling. Means no latent heat is required. The efficiency and the capacity of the plant can be increased as reduced quantity of steam is required for the same power generation if high pressure steam is used. These are some advantages of high pressure boiler. The forced circulation of water through boiler tube provides freedom in the arrangement of furnace and water walls, in addition to the reduction in heat exchange area. The tendency of scale formation is reduced due to high velocity of water. Since velocity of water is very high, because of the forced circulation, the tendency of deposition of mud and impurities is very less. The danger of overheating is reduced as all parts are uniformly heated. The differential expansion is reduced due to uniform temperature, and this reduces the possibility of gas and air leakage. Some special type of high pressure supercritical boilers are described in this chapter. First we will see Lamont boiler. Now Lamont boiler is a high pressure water tube boiler. It is a vertical, you can see it is a vertical high pressure boiler. It is vertical high pressure water tube boiler. Here you can see, first I will explain the water cycle. Now first water from the hot well through the feed pump is supplied to the economizer. First water from the feed pump is supplied to the economizer. In economizer, water is preheated and that water is stored in the storage and separating drum. It is a boiler drum. This boiler drum is also called as storage and separating drum, because this store the water as well as separate the steam from the water. Now water from this storage drum is supplied to the evaporator, where it get heated and water is converted into steam. Water is converted into steam in the evaporator, and that steam is again stored in the storage and separating drum, where it is separated. It is collected at the top portion of drum. Now this steam is supplied to the superheater. superheater, where this steam gets superheated and superheated steam is supplied to the main steam is boiler, sorry, turbine. This steam is supplied to the turbine. Now in this boiler, boiler drum is used, which is also called as storage and separating drum. In a boiler drum, water enters from the feed pump which passes through the economizer first. In economizer, water is preheated. Water is preheated so that the thermal efficiency can be increased. Then water stored in the drum, then that water enters in the evaporator where it is heated and water is converted into steam, and steam again return to the boiler drum. Then steam from the boiler drum enter in the superheater where steam gets superheated and superheated steam is supplied to the turbine. Now feed water is taken from the hot well. Now what is hot well? Hot well is a storage when the steam is expanded in the turbine. When the steam is expanded in the turbine, okay, look at here, when this superheated steam is supplied to the turbine, the expansion of steam takes place in the turbine, and from turbine steam enters in the condenser. Steam enters in the condenser where steam is condensed in the condenser, and from the condenser that condensate means liquid water is stored in a reservoir, and that reservoir is called as a, or collector tank is called as a hot well. Then from that hot well feed water takes the water which is circulates, means in case of power plant, thermal power plant, that water does not exhausted or does not go waste. When the steam is cooled in the condenser, it is collected in the hot well, and that water, that cooled water again circulates in the power plant itself. A forced circulation boiler was first introduced in 1925. This is a forced circulation boiler. Look, you can see pump are used here, feed pump is used, okay, and here is also. Before we have seen Babcock-Wilcox boiler, it is a natural circulation boiler. Circulation of water takes place because of the temperature difference or density difference of the water. As the water get heated, it moves in the upward direction. But in this case, it is not like that. The circulation of the water takes place because of the pump used, forced pump used. The forced circulation boiler was first introduced in 1925 by Lamont. The arrangement of water circulation and different components are shown in this figure. This is a circulation pump. This separate and storage drum. This is a feed pump. This is a preheater. I will explain preheater. We have seen water cycle, how water is converted into steam and how it return again. Now preheater. Fan takes atmospheric air that passes through the preheater. In preheater, air is preheated and that preheated air is supplied in the furnace for the combustion. Here gate is there, fire grate. From the fire door, fuel is supplied on the fire grate where the combustion takes place. For the combustion of fuel, air is required because combustion takes place in presence of oxygen. We supply oxygen through air. But when we supply air directly, it contains moisture. Therefore, to have proper combustion, that air is preheated in the preheater. That air is passes through the preheater where atmospheric air gets preheated and that heated air is supplied in the furnace. Now this air is heated in preheater with the help of flue gases flowing in the upward direction. Now we will see movement of flue gas. The flue gas from the furnace moves first in the evaporator, then superheater, then economizer, then preheater, then finally exhausted in the atmosphere through chimney. Then air from the atmosphere enters in the preheater where it gets preheated, and that preheated air is supplied to the furnace for proper combustion. The feed water from hot well, that is reservoir, is supplied to the storage and separating drum through the economizer. Means from the hot well, water is supplied to the drum through economizer. First it pass through economizer, then it enter in the drum. The pump circulates the water at the rate of 8 to 10 times the mass of steam evaporated. This water is circulated through the evaporator tube, and the part of vapor is separated in the separating drum. This water is passes through the evaporator, and the water which has been converted into steam is collected at the top portion of the drum. The large quantity of water circulates 10 times of that of evaporation, prevents the tube from being overheated. The rate of circulation of water is 10 times than that of evaporation, because there to prevent tubes from overheating. The centrifugal pump delivers the water at a pressure of 2.5 bar above the drum pressure. With this feed pump supplies the water at pressure of 2.5 bar, which is more than the drum pressure. The water in the boiler drum is passed through the evaporator. The water in the boiler drum is passed through the evaporator. The steam separated in the boiler drum is further passed through the superheater. The steam separated in the drum is further passed through the superheater. Then from superheater to turbine. To secure uniform flow of feed water through each of the parallel boiler circuit, a choke valve is fitted at the entrance of each circuit. These boilers have been built to generate 45 to 50 tons of superheated steam at a pressure of 120 bar and temperature 500 degrees Celsius. Means this boiler generates 45 to 50 ton superheated steam at a pressure of 120 bar and 500 degrees Celsius. Recently, forced circulation has been introduced in the large capacity power plant. The main difficulty experienced in the Lamont boiler is the formation and attachment of bubble on the inner surface of heating tubes. Look at here, when water boils, it forms bubble, and bubble works as an insulation. And heat transfer rate decreases. This is the difficulty experienced in case of Lamont boiler. Now this difficulty is overcome by the Bunsen boiler. Now Bunsen boiler is also a vertical high pressure water tube boiler. Most of the working of Bunsen boiler is same, only difference is that the difficulty experienced in the Lamont boiler is overcome by the Bunsen boiler by preventing the formation of bubble in the boiler tube, and the formation of bubble is prevented by avoiding the boiling in the Bunsen boiler. Now how to avoid the boiling? As I told you, when the water is pressurized above critical pressure, then water directly convert into steam without boiling. That principle is used in case of Bunsen boiler, means the boiling is avoided. Now one more difference is there in the Bunsen boiler. Boiler drum is not used here. Boiler drum is missing. Okay. Now from the hot well, water from the feed pump enters in the economizer, where water gets preheated, and that preheated water enter in the radiant evaporator. That preheated water from economizer enter in the radiant evaporator. then from radiant evaporator to convective evaporator, convective evaporator, where from the convective evaporator water steam enter in the superheater, steam enter in the superheater, and superheated steam is supplied to the prime mover, that is turbine. It is the water cycle. Water from the hot well means storage through the feed pump enter in the economizer first, from economizer to evaporator, where the water is converted into steam, and the remaining part which is not been converted into steam, that converted here, and the steam enters in the superheater, where steam gets superheated and that steam is supplied to the turbine, that is prime mover. Again, air preheater is used here. It takes air from the atmosphere, passes through the air preheater. In the air preheater, air is preheated and that preheated air is supplied to the furnace. Furnace is not shown here, but it is supplied to the furnace. Here there will be a grate. From the grate, combustion takes place and the flue gases moves in the upward direction. First is passed through the radiant evaporator, then superheater, then convective evaporator, then economizer, then air preheater, and then through the chimney it is exhausted to the atmosphere. This boiler do not use any drum. The feed water after circulation through the economizer tube flows through the radiant parallel tube section to evaporate partly. The steam water produced then moves in the transient section, where this mixture is converted into steam. The steam is now passed through the convective superheater and finally supplied to the prime mover. The boiler having as high as 650 degrees Celsius temperature of the steam and has been put into service. The maximum working pressure obtained so far from the commercial Bunsen boiler is 500 atmosphere. 500 atmosphere means more than 500 bar, means more than critical pressure. The Bunsen boiler of 150 ton per hour generating capacity are in use. The main difficulty experienced in Lamont boiler is the formation and attachment of bubble on the inner surface of heating tubes. In the Lamont boiler, main difficulty was the formation and attachment of bubble due to the boiling, and that problem or that difficulty was overcome in the Bunsen boiler by preventing water to boil. Means here in this Bunsen boiler, boiling is avoided by increasing the pressure above critical pressure. When the water is pressure raised above critical pressure, then water is directly converted into steam without boiling, which is called as supercritical boiler. Therefore, this Bunsen boiler is supercritical boiler. The attached bubble reduces the heat flow and steam generation, as it offers higher thermal resistance compared to the water film. This difficulty is overcome by Bunsen boiler. Now, Loeffler boiler. Now, one difficulty was associated with Loeffler Bunsen boiler also, that formation of steam inside the water tube. Formation of steam inside the water tube. When steam is formed inside the water tube, then impurities associated with the water is deposited in the tube, and when the impurities is deposited in the tube, it forms scaling. And the scale works as a insulator, means heat transfer decreases, and that difficulty was overcome by Loeffler boiler. In Loeffler boiler, only steam is allowed to pass through the tubes, and steam is formed outside the tube. And only steam is allowed to enter in the tubes. Means in case of Bunsen boiler, water is converted into steam inside the tube, and in case of Loeffler boiler, water is converted into steam outside the tube, so that only steam can enter in the tube and deposition of mud and impurities can be avoided. Now, from the hot well through the feed pump, water first enters in the economizer. Water first enters in the economizer, where water is preheated, and preheated water is supplied to the evaporating drum, where it is get evaporated. Now, with the help of pump, this water is supplied, this steam is supplied to the superheater. This steam is supplied to the superheater, where it is get superheated. Then it is first passed through the radiant superheater, then convective superheater. Then from convective superheater, the 35% steam is supplied to the turbine, and remaining 65% steam is returned to the evaporating drum. And this 65% steam is used for heating the water. This 65% steam which is coming back is used for heating the water, and only 35% of steam is supplied to the turbine for the power generation. And the 35% of steam which is supplied to the high pressure turbine for power generation, this steam is exhausted and returned to the reheater. When this steam is exhausted from the turbine, this steam returned to the reheater, means this steam is reheated again. When the 35% of steam is expanded in the turbine, its temperature decreases, and to increase the temperature, this steam is supplied to the reheater, and from reheater this steam is passed through the turbine again, means so that we can have more power generation. Look at here, the steam which is passing through the superheater is divided into two parts, 35% and 65%. 35% steam is passes through the turbine, and remaining 65% steam is returned for heating purpose. Now air coming from the atmosphere passes through the air preheater, and that preheated air is supplied to the furnace for the combustion purpose. Now what is called as a radiant and superheater, convective superheater. This radiant superheater, steam in the radiant superheater gets heated with the help of radiation generated during a combustion. This is a combustion chamber. The radiation coming from the combustion chamber is absorbed by the steam in the radiant superheater, and in convective superheater this is heated with the help of gas. This is heated with the help of flue gas. Therefore, it is called as a convective superheater. The major difficulty experienced in Bunsen boiler is the deposition of salt and sediment on the inner surface of the water tube. The deposition reduces the heat transfer and ultimately the generation capacity. This further increases the danger of overheating the tube due to salt deposition, as it has higher thermal resistance. Means the deposition forms the scale, and scale has higher resistance to heat transfer. This difficulty was solved in Loeffler boiler by preventing the flow of water into the boiler tube. Most of the steam is generated outside from the feed water using the part of superheated steam coming out of the boiler. Means most of the water is converted into steam outside the boiler, and only steam is allowed to enter in the boiler. The pressure feed pump draws the water through the economizer and deliver it into the evaporator drum as shown in the figure. Means from feed water it enters in the evaporator, then economizer, then from economizer to evaporator drum. About 65% of the steam coming out of the superheater is passed through the evaporator drum in order to evaporate the feed water coming from the economizer. The superheated steam which is going to pass through the turbine, the 60% of that is coming back in the evaporator drum for the evaporation of water. The steam circulating pump draws saturated steam from the evaporator drum and it is passed through the radiant superheater and then conveyed to superheater. The steam which is generated in the evaporating drum is passed through the radiant superheater and then conveyed to superheater. About 35% of steam coming out from the superheater is supplied to the high pressure steam turbine. Only 35% of steam is supplied to the steam turbine. Remaining 65% is returned to the evaporating drum. The steam coming out from the high pressure turbine is passed through the reheater before supplying to the low pressure turbine. This is a low pressure turbine. Okay. First is high pressure turbine because it handles high pressure, and this is a low pressure turbine. The amount of steam generated in the evaporator drum is equal to the steam tapped, that is 65% from the superheater. The nozzle which distributes the superheated steam through the water into the evaporator drum are of special design to avoid priming and noise. This boiler can carry higher salt concentration than any other type and is more compact than indirectly heated boiler having natural circulation. These qualities fit it for land or sea transport power generation. Loeffler boiler with a generating capacity of 94.5 ton per hour and operating at 140 bar have already been commissioned. Now mounting of high pressure boiler. Now mountings are the necessary requirement for any boiler. Without mounting, we cannot run the boiler, and boiler are the safeguard for any boiler. And mountings we have already seen some mountings: pressure gauge, deadweight safety valve, safety valve, then steam stop valve, water level indicator, then fusible plug. The mountings of the high pressure. These are the different fitting and devices which are necessary for the operation and safety of the boiler. The various mountings are used on the boiler. First is water level indicator. The function of water level indicator is to indicate the level of water in the water in the boiler constantly. It is also called as a water gauge. This is a water level indicator. This is boiler valve. This is boiler valve. Water level indicator. Normally, two water level indicators are used in the boiler on the either side, on the first left hand side and second on the right hand side. And this is mounted on the boiler valve. This is a water level indicator. This water level indicator, there are two tubes. In inner tube there will be a water and the steam, and in outer tube there will be a marking. There will be a marking for indicate the pressure. Indicate the level. On the outer tube there will be a marking for indicating the level of water, and this tube is attached to the two metal tube. Upper metal tube is connected to the steam space and lower metal tube is connected to the water space. Therefore, this upper tube is called as a steam tube and the lower tube is called as a water tube. Both tube consisting of cock. This is a steam cock and this is a water cock. Suppose this water level indicator is break. This water level indicator is break, or we are taking it for cleaning purpose. Then we can use this steam cock and water cock to close the movement of steam and water. If we close steam cock and water cock, the movement of water in the water level indicator will be stopped, so that we can clean it, and we can, if it is broken, we can replace it. Now two metal balls are given over here. Two metal balls are given over here. Suppose this water level indicator breaks. These balls come over here and the movement of water. Stops the movement of water here. One more drain tube is given here. One more drain tube is given here to emptying the water level indicator. To emptying this water level indicator. To remove the water from the water level indicator, one more drain cock is given. Here steam cock is given to allow or disallow the steam in this tube. Again water cock is given to allow and disallow the water in this tube, and drain cock is given for draining the water in the water level indicator. Working of water level indicator. The water level indicator shows the level of water in the boiler drum. It warns the operator if the water level goes below the fixed mark, so that corrective action may be taken in time to avoid any accident. Suppose the water level in the water level indicator going down and goes beyond the marking, it warns the operator so that operator can supply water in the boiler. For the observation of the water level in the boiler, the water and steam cock are open and drain cock is closed. During working condition, steam cock and water cock will be open and this drain cock will be closed. During a maintenance of the water level indicator, steam cock and water cock will be closed and this drain cock will be open. The steam enters from the upper metal tube M1. This metal tube is M1. And water enters through the metal tube M2 into the glass. This is a metal tube M2. Hence, water stands in the glass tube at the same level as in the boiler. Means it shows the level of water which is inside the boiler itself. The junction of metal tube and the glass tube are provided with two balls. In case of glass tube is broken, the ball is pushed into the top and bottom ends of the glass tube. It is provided with two metal balls. When this glass tube is broken, then these balls enter in the entrance of the glass tube so that the movement of water can be stopped. Thus the flow of both water and steam out of the boiler is prevented. When the boiler is not working, the water gauge can be taken out from the boiler for cleaning purpose by removing the bolt.